My name is Daniel Garcia with the BreazeHome 5.0 agent team for user story number 2868 Vagrant. The product owner is Dr. Masood Sajadi. So we'll start by looking at the user story for this in Mingle, and you can see the acceptance criteria. The VM should essentially include everything needed for as far as dependencies for running the services. Should be able to run the entire site with one command. You should be able to create the VM with one command. It should use VirtualBox, and there should be a shared folder between the VM and the host. Before going through, you're going to want to fork the repos. So you can do that by going to the top right and clicking fork there. You're going to want to do that for the Breeze API Django repo, the Breeze chat repo, as well as the Breeze desktop repo. You're also going to want to clone the Breeze Vagrant repo. So to build the VM, we're just going to have Vagrant and VirtualBox installed. And so I've cloned the repo, and you can see the files here. There's some templates, some Ansible roles, a place for logs to go, some files to be copied over to the VM, a vars.yaml file, which has some variables defined in it that you can change, as well as the Vagrant file. So we just type Vagrant up. You'll see we're prompted for our username, so I'll just type in DJRC and make sure that you've already forked the repos before doing this. And Vagrant will start making a VM. And you can see based on the username we gave it, the Ansible playbook has generated the URLs for each of the repos where our forks will be, and it'll go and grab each of those repos and put them in the shared folder. And then you can then merge changes back from the main repos into your fork as things get added by other team members. And you're also going to see, besides just Docker and what you need, there's also a bunch of extra stuff that gets done for you. So since I didn't have an SSH key, private and public key pair in the file, you see it generated one for me. So we'll just go into our Git, add the SSH key, and it'll use that key. And no, that key is no longer valid, but that makes it really easy. So you can just run Vagrant provision. If you don't want to have to do this, if you want to generate the keys yourselves, you can also do that. You can change in vars.yaml the name of the file that it looks for. By default, it's id_rsa. But you can just provide your own keys and it'll use those instead. Just make sure that you've added that key as one of your SSH keys in GOGS before doing that. You can see when everything is done that we get this nice Breeze logo. We're running Ubuntu 18.04. You get the IP, and so automatically a few things are forwarded. So you're going to have a shared directory as well as SSH access on 22 forwarded to 2222 on the host. You can SSH to that. It also forwards the Nginx port 80 to 8888, as well as the API, the chat, and the desktop to 8,000 for the API, 9,000 for the front end, and 4,000 for the chat. And you can see now if we just do a list of directory now, we'll see a bunch of new files have been added. There's this BreazeHome dev directory, and that has all of the shared stuff in it, as well as the IDRSA and IDRSA pub files for our keys. Okay, so now I'm on a Windows host. As you can see, I have the local site open on the right, and I have a terminal on the left that I've used Vagrant SSH to get a shell on. And you'll see that in the home directory of the Vagrant user, there's a shared directory. Then that's a symlink that takes you to the /Vagrant directory, which is the actual shared directory between the host and the guest. And so what I've done here is gone into the front end and the translations, and I'm just going to change that find your place text on the side on the right here. And so we'll change that to something else. Maybe, let's see. And so if I come over here on the right and I just refresh, you can see the change. And so what's cool here about this is that you can do this from the host or the guest because of that shared directory, and then also because in the Docker Compose file, though your repos, those clones of the forks that you made, are being bind mounted into each of the Docker containers. Your changes in that shared directory will be reflected inside those images. So it just makes the development really easy. And here I'm just showing the vars.yaml file. You see there's a bunch of different things that are set here. A lot of ports for the different services, some default passwords just for like the development database, things like that. Some of them, especially the port numbers, can't be changed because the command and the entry points in the images don't have a port environment variable or anything that they're listening for. So they're just kind of hard coded there. That could change in the future, hopefully. You just have to update the Docker files. And you can see we also have a pgadmin at 5050. On port 5050, we just add a new server. The name of our server is DB. And you see if... oh, here we go. Yeah. Sorry, the host of the server is DB. And you can see on the left there's for the... you see that DB is set as the host name, and that'll resolve within the container to the right IP for the database. We can also go in there and we'll take the Postgres user and Postgres password. And what's cool is if you change any of these things on the left, it'll be propagated through the whole thing. So the Docker Compose gets updated and changed to route everything for most of the things where that's possible, like I said. And so, like, for example, you change the database password, that'll update all the database password into all of the services. I've been Daniel Garcia. The product owner is Dr. Masoud Sajadi for the agent team. Thank you very much.